Have you ever been called lazy? Maybe for daydreaming a little too much, or for having a desk that's, well, a little chaotic. Well, today, we're going to flip that idea on its head. We're going to challenge everything you've ever been told about productivity and uncover how some of those lazy habits, they might just be secret signs of a truly brilliant mind.
So let's just ask it straight up. Are you lazy or are you a genius? I know, it sounds a little out there, but stick with me. By the end of this, I think you're going to see your own habits in a totally new light. So let's dive in.
Okay, so for ages, we've all been fed this one big myth, that being busy automatically equals being productive. You know the luck, a packed calendar, constantly running around. That's supposed to be the gold standard for success, right? Well, the reality? It's way more interesting. Real innovation, those big aha moments, they don't usually happen when you're frantically busy. They come from the quiet moments, from being idle, when your mind finally gets a chance to breathe and connect the dots.
And that's what we're focusing on today. We're going to look at just four of these incredibly powerful and kind of counterintuitive habits. These are the habits that get a really bad rap, the ones that society loves to label as lazy, but that science is starting to show are actually linked to some serious brain power. All right, let's get into our first section, which I'm calling Habits of a Wandering Mind. This is all about what's going on upstairs, inside your head, even when it looks like you're not doing a single thing on the outside.
And first up is a total classic, daydreaming. You know the vibe, staring out the window, totally lost in your own world, not really paying attention to what's in front of you.
It's something pretty much all of us got told off for in school, right? We've all heard it a million times. Get your head out of the clouds. It's always seen as this big waste of time, this sign that you can't focus. But what if that's completely wrong? What if it's actually the opposite?
See, here's the genius part. When your mind wanders, your brain isn't switched off at all. It's just in a different gear. It kicks into what scientists call the default mode network. Now think of this as your brain's internal creative playground. It's this amazing state where you're subconsciously working through tough problems, making these incredible connections between ideas that seem totally random, and even doing some long-term planning. So it's not being lazy. It's your brain doing some seriously deep-level work.
Okay, let's tackle our second habit. And this one definitely gets you some funny looks. It's talking to yourself.
Yeah, muttering under your breath, maybe even having a whole conversation with yourself out loud. Society tends to see that as a little weird, right? It's something we're kind of told not to do, and it's often painted as a sign that you're just odd or don't have a lot of social awareness.
But it turns out, the research completely flips that idea on its head. Talking yourself through something is an incredibly powerful tool for your brain. It helps you take all those jumbled, complex thoughts and actually organize them, give them some structure. Plus, when you say things out loud, it can lock in memories, sharpen your focus, and even act as your own personal pep talk to get you motivated. It's almost like you're outsourcing your brain's processor to your own voice.
Okay, on to our next section, which is all about what I call the art of doing nothing. And these are the habits that, from the outside looking in, just scream unproductive. And this one is a big one, having a messy desk. You know what I'm talking about? Piles of paper, pens everywhere, a bunch of books open at once.
To a lot of people, that's the #1 sign that you're a disorganized mess. There's that old saying, right? A cluttered desk is a cluttered mind. It's this simple little phrase that basically says the chaos on your desk must mean there's chaos in your head.
But hold on a second, because that's not always the case, not by a long shot. There is actually a study from the University of Minnesota that found something fascinating. A messy environment can actually fire up more creative, more unconventional thinking. See, when you're not boxed in by super rigid organization, your mind feels freer to break away from those normal, boring thought patterns. All that so-called chaos can spark brand new ideas and solutions that a perfectly neat, tidy desk might actually stifle.
And now we get to the big one, the undisputed king of all lazy habits, procrastination. Yeah, we're talking about leaving things until the absolute last minute.
You've probably heard the question 1,000 times. Why do you always leave things until the last minute? It drives organized people absolutely nuts. It's seen as the ultimate sign of laziness, a total failure of self-discipline.
But let's look at this differently. What if it's not just laziness? What if it's actually strategic? Some psychologists even call this active procrastination. By putting a task off, you're actually giving your brain valuable time for the ideas to incubate, to sort of simmer on the back burner. Your subconscious is still chipping away at the problem, and that delay, it forces you to figure out what's really important. Then, for a lot of us, that looming deadline creates this incredible laser-like focus. So it's not about avoiding the work, it's about letting your brain do the work at the perfect time.
So after looking at all of this, I think it's pretty clear. It's time we totally redefine what it means to be smart. Let's just wrap this all up in a neat little bow. What looks like laziness on the outside is so often your brain doing its most brilliant work on the inside. Daydreaming? That's not spacing out, it's creative problem solving. Talking to yourself? It's not weird, it's how you sharpen your focus and memory. That messy desk? It's not chaos, it's a launchpad for unconventional thinking. And procrastination, it's not a character flaw, it's your brain's secret weapon for incubating great ideas.
So, what's the real takeaway from all this?
It's that intelligence is not measured by how busy you look. It's just not about being busy.
It's about understanding how your mind really works and then giving it the space it needs to do its thing, even if that looks a little lazy to everyone else. It's about being brilliant.
So, I'll leave you with a final question to chew on. After hearing all this, what lazy habit are you going to stop apologizing for and maybe even start to embrace? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.
Thank you.